that. Coming up next in ProServe is a program on an especially important area of customer relations. The effective handling of dissatisfied, confused, or angry customers, along with warranty policy and dealership policies. Be sure to see this program. It can add greatly to a growing professionalism in your very important job.
A service advisor's job is certainly a challenging one. Just when you think you've seen everything, there is always something new to test your professional abilities. And this perhaps is especially true of customers. Customers come in every assorted shape and size, with every imaginable problem and difficulty, with every disposition, and in every frame of mind. Your job is to take them as they come, to satisfy them to everyone's best interest, no matter their disposition, no matter their state of mind. How to do this most effectively is what we're going to talk about in today's ProServe unit. ProServe presents Basic Customer Relations 2. The angry, the dissatisfied, the confused. A customer who's angry, or one who's dissatisfied, or just plain confused. As a service advisor, is there a way to take some of the sting out of that anger, dispel the dissatisfaction, and bring understanding into the confusion? We think there is. It starts with you and a basic point of fact. You are the dealership to the customer. In the customer's point of view, you're everything. You're it. When you realize this, you're on a professional road to customer satisfaction and to your own job satisfaction as well. Let's start with anger. Normally, a customer's anger is directed at many overall things: his vehicle problem, the inconvenience it's causing, and so forth. It's not directed at you personally, and that's the first point in turning anger around. Don't take it personally. This may be hard to do at times, but is well worth the effort. You're a professional. As such, you must make an extra effort at being understanding. When you allow personal anger to get in the way, the whole situation can easily break down into a pitched battle involving personalities. When you challenge an angry customer by tone of voice, body language, or any sign of negative attitude, you only make his anger worse. That's certainly no way to get an unhappy customer to communicate with you productively. There's a far better way, a businesslike, professional way that begins with this point. Hear them out. Listen. We discussed the importance and techniques of listening as part of the first ProServe program in this series. It's a good idea to review this program. Listening's an art, and when dealing with anger and dissatisfaction, listening is an absolute necessity. There's a saying that you can't learn anything with your mouth open, and it's true. You'll certainly never know why a customer is unhappy until you listen rather than talk. And this points up another fact. To the customer, the problem he's having with his vehicle is the biggest thing in the world. To you, it might seem far less. You deal with many vehicle problems every day, but don't make it less important when you're dealing with a customer. Never treat the problem lightly or try to minimize the problem's importance to the customer. Whatever it is, from the customer's view, it's serious. Treat it that way. Agree there's a problem and show your concern. As you do, some of the anger wears away. Some of the dissatisfaction begins to disappear. For there's nothing like an honest display of understanding and concern for someone's problem to ease that concern and develop an atmosphere of positive communication. Then you can add another point of professional skill. It's this: weigh and consider. You've listened, you've shown concern, you've begun positive communication. Now, weigh what you've heard, consider it, and begin to decide what can or must or will be done. And remember, any decision you make bears on your customer's perception of your dealership. And also, be aware that positive customer attitude and satisfaction help determine the ultimate success of your dealership. Customers are valuable. They aren't for the asking. They have to be earned. Their satisfaction is extremely important. But to gain it, you certainly don't want to give away the franchise. Realistically, customers, at times, can be completely unreasonable, overly demanding. And, although it's said the customer is always right, there will be times when the customer can be wrong. Take an example. The customer says that besides his tune-up and alignment, he ordered an oil change and a filter, and he didn't get them. He checked it himself. No, he doesn't have his copy of the repair order. And what are you guys, anyway? A bunch of rip-offs? Well, it's a touchy situation. If you reach for the dipstick to check, you've questioned him, challenged his word. At the least, he's more irritated. What's the matter? Don't you trust me? On the other hand, if you reach for the repair order and say, I'll check it, sir, to make sure the work was completed, sometimes you've questioned him again. I already told you it wasn't done. It's the kind of situation that puts you right between a rock and a hard place. You want to make sure the customer is right, but you don't want to make him unhappy doing it. Can this be done? Most of the time, yes. Here's one way. Be diplomatic. I'll just get the job ticket number, sir, and we'll handle it for you. Still want the oil and filter? Sorry it happened. Now you can check. And sometimes maybe it didn't happen. Couldn't make time promise and still change oil and filter. Called his secretary. She said, forget it. Deleted items on repair order. And signed by the advisor who wrote the order. Forget it. And she also forgot to tell her boss. These things do happen every day. Usually there's a logical explanation for everything. So, the point is, be as diplomatic as you can be and get all the facts. Most importantly, never challenge an angry customer until you're sure you have all the facts. Even then, be certain that it doesn't sound to the customer that you're challenging his word. Keep using diplomacy, and it'll pay off. This is true because of another point. Consider it. Most customers are fair-minded. They'll listen to reason. They're not out to gouge you or take advantage, but simply on their guard to avoid being taken. It's a point worth discussing. For example, every day you handle many demanding customer repair orders. And face it, even normally in this age of great emphasis on consumer satisfaction and much negative publicity directed at all types of retail service operations, customers can be demanding. In this atmosphere, it's easy to get the idea that every customer is out to get something. The result? A defensive attitude. If you're not careful, you get angry and distrustful. Just the kinds of attitudes you hate to see in customers. And you can do this without even realizing it. You're skeptical even when you don't mean to be. The customer reacts to your mood. Irritation grows, and a good business climate is damaged. So, from time to time, it's important to check yourself for a good, positive attitude. Remember, you are the dealership to your customers. So, represent your dealership in a positive, upfront way, with a winner's attitude that pays off no matter what the situation, even anger and dissatisfaction. And for a moment, what about that dissatisfaction? Really, is it any different from anger? In degree, yes. It hasn't reached the anger stage, but perhaps this is the most important thing. You can help prevent it from getting that far. If you think back to dissatisfied customers you've encountered, you'll realize that the dissatisfaction came mostly from little things. Dirt or grease on the steering wheel or carpet. Fixed the transmission but forgot the wash job the customer wanted. Forgot the new wiper blades. These may seem like nickel and dime items, really, but they help destroy untold dollars worth of goodwill. And they're all things that can be prevented. The key to doing so is this: follow up. Take the time to be sure everything's covered. It's one of the greatest ideas around for preventing dissatisfaction. Consider our oil and filter situation, for example. Leaving the note on the steering wheel, since the advisor obviously couldn't be there, would probably have stopped a bad situation. Dissatisfaction, growing into anger, can often be prevented. This also applies to confusion. If you had to choose either anger, dissatisfaction, or confusion as the one worst offender in creating customer problems, you wouldn't be wrong with confusion. For example, confusion is the breeding ground of dissatisfaction, which is the forerunner of anger. But much confusion, like dissatisfaction, can be prevented. Take a customer's bill. It's important to be there at pickup time to review the work. Nothing is more fundamental to your job. Do this and you can replace unnecessary confusion with satisfied goodwill. Unnecessary confusion also exists with warranties. Customers are often confused here, and since they often honestly believe something is covered when it isn't, their confusion can go straight to anger without stopping at dissatisfaction. What can you do? Just this: know the warranty in every detail, as well as you know your own shop manuals. Several things apply. Treat warranty customers the same as paid labor, for instance. They're just as important. Be prepared to answer any questions. Be able to explain the terms of the warranty. And be up to date on policy, procedure, and current changes. If you have misunderstandings, discuss them with your service manager. Warranty knowledge is important, for only with it can you intelligently communicate with the customer to bring light and understanding to any confusion he may have, or any problems, or negative aspects of coverage. Let's take an example. The customer says, "This paint's defective, and I think the warranty should cover it. How about it?" You know the car's been in service for 14 months, and that the defect is normal road damage. You must say no. But how do you do it and still maintain goodwill? Well, here's a starting point. Build the customer's self-esteem. It's a method good people handlers use in difficult situations. For instance, compliment him on his concern for the car. If you can, also compliment the car's good, clean appearance. All of this puts the customer on more friendly ground. You've praised him, and any negative answer will be that much better received. And this brings up an added point. It concerns your own dealership policies. In our example, it might be dealership policy to spot paint minor damage at no cost or at materials cost only. But the point is, dealership policies are important. You must know them to work effectively with your customers. This applies as well to knowledge of service bulletins, the service policies and procedures manual, new product information, and background knowledge of things like claims processing. Knowledge is exceedingly important in your job. Without it, there's no way you can truly gain your customers' satisfaction, earn their confidence, and hold their trust. Now, let's pause for a review of what you've learned. Number one, a customer's anger is normally directed at you personally. A, true. B, false. Number two, when you're personally affected by anger, you A, argue more effectively. B, win more often. C, hurt your ability to handle the situation. Number three, whatever the customer's problem may be, you should A, downgrade it, B, kid the customer out of it, Or C, treat it seriously. Number 4, confusion creates problems because